Okay, hello everyone. I'm really hoping that this is going to work. I'm actually running off the data off my phone, so I've actually got rid of the Wi-Fi. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that this one's going to work okay. Let me just scroll down and see what I can see. Okay, I think we are good. All right. Again, for those who are watching, could you leave me a quick message or a like, just so that I know that this Facebook Live is actually working okay. So I'm not sure how much of what I said earlier in the previous video, which I have deleted, is coming through. So I'm going to go through this again. This is the July free class. To qualify for the free class, you place an order of $75 or more, and then the following month you'll receive a 2-card free class. You don't have to do anything special. The kits will turn up sort of the second week in the month. Okay, so here we go. This designer series paper is called Violet Dream. It's a specialty designer series paper, and a couple of the sheets you get all of these amazing printed and die cut ready to use pieces. So there's leaves and there's flowers and there's frames. All you need to do is just press them out, and then you can use them on your projects. So you can use those on your cards, you can use them on scrapbook pages, you can use them on whatever you like. So you do get 2 sheets that are the same, and you also get some of the elements here with the flowers that you can colour yourself as well. Okay, thank you, Mandy. So it's working so far. That's good. We will see, because you just never really know. Okay, let me share with you the rest of the papers in the Violet Dreams Specialty Designer Series paper. If you love purples, this is the paper for you. So they do have the really pretty violet flowers on them. So there's 2 that are very similar with the pattern. You've just got your different colours. You also have some of these sheets, and you're going to be able to cut some of these out. Now, Violet Dreams is a part of the July online exclusives. It's a part of a suite. As always, I've just got the designer series paper because they're so pretty to use, and you can do a lot with paper and a nice sentiment stamp set. Okay, so another piece. So we do have Gorgeous Grape. There's Highland Heather. There is, I'm going to say, Peaceful Pine, Secret Sea, some really awesome colours in there. And again, some of the purples. If you like purples, as I mentioned, this is for you. Let me show you the reverse side. So we've got some of the different colours. Again, the same sort of colours through them. Very, very versatile patterns. Okay, hello Sharon. Thank you. Excellent. We're doing well. That's good to know. Okay, and again, a few more of these really versatile patterns. They're quite subtle. There's beautiful colour there, but really versatile. Okay, so let's move on to the stamp set that I've used for this particular class. So I'm using Sending Salutations, which is a stamp set that should be familiar to you because it's one I actually use quite a bit. So some of the sentiments, you've got all the basics sort of covered, the I'm here for you, there's sort of get well and thinking of you, birthday, also there's some there for friendship as well. So there's also, I don't know what I'd do without you. So that could be for somebody who's really quite special in your life. So there are some really nice sentiments, and the font is pretty amazing with this one too. That is the stamp set I'm using. The 2 coloured inks I'm using, for one of them I'm using Gorgeous Grape. The second I'm using Secret Sea. However, you can use what colours you think will match nicely. If you've got these ones, they're fantastic, use them. If not, grab something else out of your stash to use. So the first card, this is it here. Okay, so I have used a smaller amount of designer series paper. The die cut circle is from Stylish Shapes, which has been around for a little while, and Stylish Shapes is probably one of my all-time favourite die sets because it just covers all the basics. I love using circles on my cards, and they've also got, and it has the stitch detail. They have squares and they have some banners as well. So you should be quite familiar if you watch my Facebook Lives, and also if you have a look at my posts, you'll see that particular die set showing up fairly regularly. Let me just pop that out the way a little bit. What's in the kit? There is one sheet of thick, or half sheet of thick white cardstock, which is scored for the base. There are 2 pieces of gorgeous grape cardstock that measure 10 centimetres by 14.4. You will have 2 pieces of white cardstock that measure 9.5 by 13.9. One of them has been embossed for you ahead of time. There is a 3rd piece of gorgeous grape, and this measures 4.5 by 13.9. A piece of designer series paper that measures 4 centimetres by 13.9, so those two map together. There are 2 pieces of baker's twine. The shorter one is going to be wrapped around the front here. There is the die cut circle from Stylish Shapes, and also 3 of the little pearls as well. Okay, so let's get started with this card. So, as a lot of the cards I do, they're quite a simple design. Simple does work nicely, and I think the hero of the card is the designer series paper. So you can use this exact same design in multiple ways. Change up the colours, change up the papers you're using, and you can create quite a few cards using the same design. And of course, you can have this going in either landscape or portrait, and the design is going to work really, really nicely. Okay, so that is the base done. I'm going to be starting with my piece of embossed cardstock, and I'm sorry, I didn't even write the name of this one down, and it's one of the newer ones, so I just can't remember. You can use either side of this piece. It's got like stripes, a little bit wallpaperish, and you've got lots of little dots there that give it really beautiful texture. My first piece I'm going to be sticking onto that is the smallest piece of gorgeous grape, which measures 4.5 by 13.9. This is going to be just ever so slightly longer than the piece of white, and I've cut that on purpose so you can trim it up after it's stuck on. So I'm going to use a bit of Tombow, and of course you can use your double-sided tape if that's what you have on your table. But sometimes I find when I'm sticking onto a piece of cardstock that's embossed, I found that the Tombow does work for me a little bit better. So that is going to be centered and level at one end, and I'm really hoping to stick it on straight. Let me just hold that up for a moment. I think that's actually pretty good. So I'm just going to use a little bit of pressure just to get that to all stick together properly. And grab my scissors, and I'm just going to trim that little bit of the overhang off. Okay, and I think this Facebook Live is actually going okay now because it hasn't cut out, and hopefully the picture is still clear. Okay, next I've got my piece of designer series paper, and this measures 4 centimetres by 13.9, which I'm going to stick over the top of the gorgeous grape. And of course, with the Tombow, you don't need to use too much. And centering this over the gorgeous grape and getting that stuck on nice and straight as well. Again, I do have just that little bit there that I need to trim off. Okay, there is that there. So I'm just going to grab some sticky tape. The the next bit, you will have your 2 pieces of white baker's twine. You just need to find the shorter piece. And I can tell you the measurement of the short one. So this one measures around about 20 centimeters. Okay, and when I've done mine, I've actually put my piece of thread off to the left-hand side. You can have that centered if you prefer. You can put this wherever you would like it to go. So I'm going to do mine off center a little bit again. So just tucking behind. You can use a bit of double-sided tape to hold that in place. I find a little bit of sticky tape. It's not fussy, there's no mess, and it usually holds it really very well. Okay, so there is that bit done there. Okay, so my next bit, I'm going to get my first of the gorgeous grape that measure 10 centimeters by 14.4, and I'm going to be sticking this flat onto my card front. I'm going to use Stamp and Seal, which is one of my favorite adhesives to use. So this will go onto my card front. Again, I'm aiming to get everything stuck down pretty well straight, but by the time Thursday rolls around, there's no guarantee. Okay, so I'm curious, how has everyone's week been so far? Mine has kind of been a bit of a busy week. Of course, I've worked all week up until today, so Friday's my day off, so I'm actually really looking forward to tomorrow just to catch up on a few things that I haven't quite got done this week. Okay, so this piece here that we've got my baker's twine on, I'm going to put that on with some dimensionals. So I'm going to use the minis. So this will just take a moment or two to stick these on. Now, if you're crafting along with me, I do apologize if I am going a little bit too fast, but please don't worry. I promise that I will be posting the replay straight away, so you'll be able to come back and watch this replay and pause as you need to. Okay, so using the pick tool to get the little backing papers off each of the dimensionals. And then this is going onto my card front as well. Again, I'm aiming to stick it down fairly straight. Okay, that is where we're up to. Next, I've got a little bit of stamping to do. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be using or stamping on my die cut circle from Stylish Shapes. And I'm going to be using Gorgeous Grape ink. So let me grab the sentiment that I need. What have we got there? Sending best wishes for health. We might actually make this one... maybe to a marvelous person on their birthday, because of course this one is going to be the giveaway card. Okay, let me get a block as well. Now, Gorgeous Grape is not a color I use a lot of. I don't use a lot of purple. So for me to do this card and use the purple and not use the blues, it's kind of surprising. And this is an ink pad I've had for many years. I don't think I've ever refilled it with an ink refill because it just doesn't get used that much. But I know other people, I know Mandy loves purple, so I'm sure that she uses her purples a whole lot more than what I do. So there is my stamp done. The other stamp that would fit really well in here, if you've got Simple Sayings, which was a stamp set, sentiment stamp set that I used all the time over probably the past 18 months, 2 years, those ones are going to fit in this circle really nicely as well. Okay, I'm going to now stick this onto my card front using dimensionals. So this is a second layer of dimensionals for this card. Okay, maybe just one more in the middle. So I'm hoping that everything is still going okay and everyone can see and hear this Facebook Live okay. All right, so I'm going to have, again, I've got my piece of baker's twine off center, so I'm going to have my sentiment off center a little bit too. Okay, so that's with dimensionals. Next, I just need to make sure that my piece of baker's twine is nice and straight. And sometimes get a few kinks in them. Between your index finger and your thumb, just give that a quick run through there, and then it straightens them out a little bit. Okay, so I'm threading this piece of the baker's twine to tie my bow underneath the first piece. Of course, you can just tie your bow and use a glue dot. And this piece of baker's twine is around 25 centimeters long. So this is a really simple shoelace tie. Okay, almost done. And I think this Facebook Live must be seeing okay, because what I'm seeing on my computer is just a few moments behind what I'm actually doing, which is pretty normal for a Facebook Live. There's a few second, I guess you could call it a lag, between what you're seeing and what I'm actually doing. Okay, so I trimmed my bow up to make it look nice and neat. I've also got my pearls, which I'm going to pop these on next using the Take Your Pick tool and the putty end. Let me just get that in place, okay. And of course, it's a very simple sliding the little embellishment off. I put one there and one up there. I've used 2 different sizes on mine. You may well have 3 of the same size. It was, I think sometimes using the different sizes does look really nice too. So this card is almost done. All I need to do now is finish the inside. So this will be your last 2 pieces for this card. Oh, thank you, Pam. Thank you for watching, and it's all good. Excellent. That makes me happy. So my piece of Gorgeous Grape, this one measures 10 centimeters by 14.4, and my final piece of white that measures 9.5 by 13.9. I'm going to stick these 2 together and then into the card base. And again, I'm using Stamp and Seal. And of course, with the Stamp and Seal is a really good adhesive, so you don't need to use too much. Okay, so those 2 together, and then final little bit of adhesive and into the card base. There we go. So that one is card number 1 done. So for those joining me and crafting along with me, I hope you're enjoying this one, and it is as I mentioned, it's a nice simple card to do, but it's a really pretty card, and the designer series paper makes all the difference sometimes. Okay, that's card number 1. So card number 2, again, is a nice, easy design to do, and you can use any designer series paper for this one. So here is number 2. With this one, it's also a really great design to use up some of those strips that you might have, because we all end up with those thinner strips of designer series paper. These ones have all been cut to about 1.5 centimeters in width. You can have those a little bit thinner, you can have them thicker, you can have them different widths. I've done pretty much the middle of the card, but there is no reason why you can't have your striped piece or your pieces of designer series paper across the entire card front. Okay, so let me share with you what you've got in this kit. Okay, let me pop that up a little bit higher. Okay, so card base, thick white, which is a half sheet of A4 that I have scored ahead of time. There are 2 pieces of Secret C cardstock, and these measure 10 centimetres by 14.4. Secret C is one of the in colours. It's been around for over 12 months now, and I actually have used quite a few of these. I really do enjoy this colour. It's a really nice deep blue. So I'm not sure how well or how blue that's showing up on my phone, but it is a really great colour to use. I've got 2 pieces of white cardstock, which measure 9.5 by 13.9. So there's the stock measurements I use for a lot of my mats when I'm doing my cards. You will have 5 pieces or 5 strips of designer series paper, and these all measure 1.5 centimetres by 9.5. Again, I have probably cut these a touch longer, so you will need to do a little bit of trimming once they are stuck on. There is another piece of white, and this measures 2.5 centimetres by 9, and a piece of Secret C for it to mat onto, which measures 3 centimetres by 9.5. So that is for my sentiment. 2 pieces of baker's twine. The longer one measures 25 centimetres, and the shorter one, which we're going to use to wrap over this part of the card, measures, if I can get hold of it, about 15 centimetres. And of course, 3 little pearls as well. Okay, so let me pop these aside and we'll make a start. The first piece you'll need is one of your pieces of white, and this one measures 9.5 by 13.9. They both measure the same size, so it's pretty easy. And I'm going to get my strips of the designer series paper, and I'm just going to sit these onto my card front. I'm going to do mine the same as the sample card, but you can do yours in any order that you like. So one of the things to get this relatively centered, so your little gap either side is roughly even. If you start by sticking the middle one on first, you'll actually then be able to line up the other ones. So whether you use your grid paper, and this grid paper is in inches, so not so helpful for me because I'd need to sit and figure it out. But this is about, let's say 13, so we're looking at 7.5. So that is about, my center is probably around about there. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly centered, you can eyeball it and then go from there. All it means is that way then, when all of my pieces are joined together, you get roughly the same gap each side. But it's not overly important because, as I mentioned, this is also a handmade card. So I'm going to use some Tombow and stick my middle strip on first. So mine is the one that has the nice stripes on the diagonal. Or you might choose to use the flip side. You can choose whichever side you like. I've gone with the more subtle patterns for mine. So a little bit of Tombow. And I'm going to stick that one on, I don't know, around about there will do. It's going to stay there now because it's kind of stuck that down. So I do have a little bit of a gap at the top there, or a little bit of overhang that I'll need to trim off. So once you've got your middle one on, then you can just put the remaining 4 onto your card front. And that is going to sit level at the end and up against the first piece that I put down. And I think they're kind of stuck on straight. That's even better. Okay, and we go again with the next piece. I think with card making, if you manage to get them stuck on straight, I think you're usually pretty happy with that. And I may not have even stuck, even with measuring, I probably haven't done a fabulous job with lining mine up particularly well, but that's close enough. I think when I did the sample card, I actually eyeballed it and probably did a better job than what I've done using the ruler. Okay, and the final piece. So not quite perfect, but that's okay. And of course, if you're using your Tombow, you do have a few moments just to wiggle your pieces around. So it's not quite perfect. I think one side's got a slightly bigger gap, but you know what? No one's going to care. Whoever gets this card is going to love it, I think, anyway. Now, as I mentioned, it has been cut slightly longer. So once you've got your 5 pieces cut on, stuck on, you'll be able to grab your scissors and trim off those little bit that hang over the edge. So there you have that bit done. So there is that. And even when I measured it, like I said, I still didn't get it quite in the center, but that is okay. All right, so my short piece of baker's twine, I'm going to sit that over my darker piece, and you can sit this wherever you would like, and I'm going to tuck it under and stick it behind with some sticky tape. There is the first side done, and go with the second side. And I've got mine just sitting over the Secret C, just because it's a darker colour and it does stand out just a little bit more. Okay, so let's do the little bit of stamping. As mentioned, I'm using Secret C ink, and let me get the congratulations on your achievement. And this stamp, as you can see, I have used Secret C a lot with this stamp, and it has stained a little bit, but it doesn't affect the way that the stamp works at all. So onto my block. And my piece of white, and this measures 2.5 centimeters by 9. Now, if you're using a shorter sentiment, feel free to trim it up a little bit if you need to. Okay, so inking up my stamp. And there we go. The stamp is done, and I think it's straightish. I'll live with it. Okay, so next I'm going to stick my piece of stamp white that I've just stamped on onto the piece of Secret C. And I'm going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal for this one. Okay, so this is just going to be centered. And then onto the card front with some dimensionals. So again, this card has got the 2 layers of dimensionals. If you're worried about it getting a little bit thicker, just eliminate 1 layer. Okay, so just a couple more pieces and then onto my card front. Where will I put this one? I'm actually going to go the other way a little bit more with this one, simply because I've lined up my pieces slightly more to the right. Okay, so next, my second piece of baker's twine, and this does measure 25 centimeters. Again, run it through your index finger and your thumbnail just to get any kinks out. Slide it under the first piece and tie the bow. Okay, almost done. Again, this is a nice design to use, and you can use up your offcuts of your designer series paper. You could even use offcuts of cardstock. You could emboss each of those in with a different embossing folder. So there's lots of scope that you can do using a simple design. You could do strips of cardstock that you have stamped on, or I think we all have those little strips that always end up going, well, for me, they end up going in the bin because I'd be drowning in offcuts of cardstock. But anything smaller than sort of 1.5 centimeters, I actually tend to throw out. So you can use all different sizes for this sort of card. Okay, so let me get the card base next, and we just need to put this together. So folding my card base in half, and a bone folder is, of course, a must-have to use just to get that really nice crisp crease. Okay, so I'm going to now use my first piece of Secret C. This measures 10 centimeters by 14.4, and I'm going to stick that onto the card front using some Stampin' Seal. Okay, so this one goes on. Oh, that's gone on really crooked. I think I actually might have cut the piece of let me see what's crooked here. I may have cut my piece. Oh, I'm actually not going to use that one. I've actually cut that really crooked. Hopefully yours are cut a little bit straighter. Let me check this one. Okay, I think this one is a little better. So my piece that I've cut really crooked, I'm actually going to pop that aside and not use that. Let me see if this one is a bit better. Yeah, that one's better. Okay, so, and that happens too. Sometimes I do cut something not quite straight. So I'm hoping that your kits have straight pieces. There we go. That one is better. Okay, so for the inside, of course, I will be using a new piece that's cut straight, and I will be putting, oh yeah, I did a really bad job on that one, so you can probably see that a little bit better there. Okay, so finishing off the front, I'm going to put dimensionals behind this piece and then stick that onto my card front. Okay, so I'm sure I'm not the only one that cuts stuff crooked from time to time. And for me, if I've cut it crooked, I'm just not happy using it on my card. If I haven't put adhesive on it, actually use it and cut it up to use it on another element. So it's just I had already put the Stampin' Seal on. Okay, so let's get this onto the card front. Now, at this point, if you didn't cut your second piece of Secret C crooked, you'd be sticking your piece of white onto your nice straight piece of Secret C, which mine is not, and then that would be stuck inside your card. But as I mentioned, mine is a little bit crooked, so I don't think I'm going to use that. Okay, so that then is almost your second card finished, and finally I've just got some little pearls to put on, which I'll use, of course, the Take Your Pick tool and the putty end. Okay, so I'm going to put one about there. And again, I have got a big and a small. You may have 3 of the same size. So, of course, it is sticking the last 2 pieces inside. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for watching. So that is card number 2. And as I mentioned, I'm sure that yours have been cut straight. It's just that I just went skew with one of my pieces. So as I mentioned, to finish off your piece, your second piece of Secret C, you're white and the inside is finished. So, of course, as always, these will be the giveaway cards that I will announce next week. And I promise I'll finish the inside of the second card so you actually get a complete card. So there are the 2 cards for tonight. So thank you so much for those who are crafting with me because you earned the free class from last month. I really hope you're enjoying these cards being made. And of course, if you haven't been able to keep up or you've joined me a little bit late, you'll be able to watch the replay pretty much straight away. It just takes a couple of minutes and it's ready to watch again. Thank you so much, Pam. I'm glad you like these. And thank you, Mandy, Sharon, and Debbie for joining me. I don't think there was anyone else who had joined me at the moment. I think there's a couple more people possibly watching. And I do apologise for the issues that I had earlier on with the connection with Wi-Fi. I'm hoping that's going to get sorted out soon. I might have to look a little bit more into it to figure out why my phone isn't hooking up very well to the Wi-Fi to do Facebook Live. So thank you again, everyone, for joining me. Enjoy making these cards, and I promise I'll be back on Tuesday night to share maybe the next paper pumpkin kit, the July paper pumpkin kit. It arrived today, but I haven't even opened it yet, so I might share that with you next Tuesday. So until then, everyone, do take care, and I will see you all very soon.